Snacks and junk food have fueled obesity behind India rather. China is the biggest consumer of sugar. Xi Chen is assistant professor of public health at Yale University. He's also a practicing doctor. So how big of a problem is obesity in China? We just saw the story about snacks and fast food. Which population suffers the most right now?
Yeah, that's a great question. Thanks for having me, Elaine. So China has the largest number of people overweight and obese, now surpassing the US. And this is pretty much because of the rapid economic growth. With improvement in living standard comes with obesity, so which will threaten the improvement in public health. And currently, the elderly, the adults are all affected, being majorly affected by the obesity epidemic. But I would emphasize another influence, which is very important, that's towards children. Because if we look at data for China and the US, the obesity rate in China is lower than the US for children. But the growth rate is twice or even triples the US growth rate, which is very worrisome. And as we know that 80% of the kids with obese issue will carry until they are becoming adults. So that's the issue will have long-term consequence.
Well, we looked at food, but is it mostly unhealthy eating, or is it a lack of exercise? Are there any trends, urban versus rural, north versus south? What are the biggest contributors to this increased weight gain nationwide?
Yeah, I believe that's because of the rising income, making the price of food cheaper. And in the current public policy, there's no much distinction between the healthy food and non-healthy food. In some other countries, they have like a soda tax to penalize the unhealthy food to become more expensive. That can be effective, and some countries have very effective labels to regulate the volume of sugar in the food. So this is a step China is going to do in its recent action for healthy China 2030.
I wanted to ask you more about that initiative, Action for Healthy China. Other than the new labeling on some packages and some additional limits, do you really think that this could be an effective strategy? What more can be done other than informing people or increasing the prices of food or taxing things?
Yes, it will be a little bit controversial to tax the food, but compared to Western countries, the unhealthy food tax may not be as big an issue in the Chinese society. First thing is that the Chinese government is powerful. They can implement Healthy China initiative more powerful than many other countries. So that's the first thing. The second is that if we look at the consumers for sugary drinks, they are not necessarily the poor people. So that means if we tax the unhealthy food, they are not overtaxed towards the poor people or lower income people. But this thing may happen in Western countries. If you raise the soda tax, that will affect the low income people more. But I would say that eventually the food tax may not be the most effective. We really need to change people's living, the lifestyle, to change the sedentary lifestyle to be more outdoor activities, exercise. And this is motivated also by the Healthy China 2030 action. And I would emphasize also another issue. We are more talking about the urban area. Definitely, urban residents are suffering from obesity at a very high speed. But also we may sometimes ignore the issue from rural China. And rural China obesity is a different story. It's especially for children in rural China, their obesity rate is increasing very fast, partly because they are not living with their parents. Their grandparents are taking care of them. And with their parents migrating out, sending large number of remittance, which make the household become richer, so they don't know how to keep a healthy diet. So this make the rural children especially suffer from the obesity and overweight issue.